sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Continuing with the GoBox. So the KX3 is mounted with all the other bits and pieces, and now a painstaking job of wiring the thing up. Oh dear. Couple of things. I've decided that one area needs to be wired with screen cable. In fact, a couple of things need to be wired with screen cable, whereas the others, which are all line level or DC, can actually be wired with ribbon cable without screening. Makes it easier, neater perhaps. So the microphone is wired with screen cable, and also the accessory 1 and the receiver I/O, they're both going to be wired with screen cable. This cable here, in fact, that I'm just preparing. And the reason for that is that I think that the chances of getting noise is quite high. RF noise, that is really quite high with switching transients and those sorts of things. I don't want those coupling through to the I/O signal, which will be used for the pan adapter. So I don't want the pan adapter to see what it should be doing, not to have to deal with interference. Similarly, with the accessory 1, where that generally will be plugged into a PC of some sort, I wanted, it's an audio level that I shall use, but I also wanted it to be free from interference, so decided that screen would lead. Now this is 4 individually screened cables, except of course they're not individually sheathed, they're just individually screened, so when you break them out, in order to prevent an absolutely horrid mess of braid everywhere, I've put some very narrow heat shrink sleeving over each of the breakouts, and am proceeding now to tidy these up so that I can use them essentially as individual cables to the plugs that I'll insert on the other end. So the plugs are those that go into the transceiver in order to make contact with the transceiver's plugs and sockets, and there's always one flipping bit of wire that doesn't want to go with the others. There we go, got him. Twist these around, so I've now essentially got 4 discrete cables which will be used together in order to complete the I/O installation. So now the challenge is to tin all of these, because cable, I won't tin the braids, but I will tin all of the centres, as it were, inner conductors, so that I don't have fraying cables. Get rid of the excess. So now all of those are ready. I'm just going to trim them off. I don't want them too long. So we've got them all at the right length. So 2 of these will be for the accessory, and 2 of them will be for the receiver I/O, which is the low-level audio that goes out to the pan adapter. All I now need to do is to decide which will be which. So I will unplug the cables I've made up. Oh, blimey, that's easier said than done. Come on, out you can. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3. I'll unplug those, get them out the way. And then one of these will be the RX I/O, which is this one here, and the other will be the accessory one. Right, so here's the accessory one going in there. Now with the RXIO, in order to keep things neat, I don't want that cable clamp because I'm not going to use it, it'll simply get in the way. But what I will do with this particular connector is I will put some heat shrink sleeving over the soldered connections, just to keep it all in a sensible, neat state and to prevent shorting. Right, so with this cable now we have, for the RXIO, black is the tip of one, white is the ring of the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist those two together, because that essentially makes the pair of cables that will contact with the RXIO. I'm going to put a tiny bit of heat shrink sleeving on the end of the braid, over the braid, so that we can make sure it doesn't short to be long. Everywhere becomes a mess whenever you're constructing something. It's you have to kind of tidy up in batches. Right, I'm going to tin the end of that. Bit of a tricky thing. At the same time, it'll melt the heat shrink to a certain extent, which will hold it in place. So there we go. So that's got that one done. So now I'm going to tin the connector terminals. You absolutely have to tin these terminals every time. Just don't approach it with the wire that you're trying to fix and the soldering iron if you've not pre-tinned them. It's a it's a nightmare. Okay, just check. Black is the tip, so that means put them on this way round. Get rid of the excess solder off the soldering iron. Clean the tip. Now that's the ring connected. Silly me. I want to put a little bit of heat shrink over this connection too. Just for good measure. Okay, which means black is going to the tip. Again with a tiny bit of heat shrink. Now I can clamp that with the pliers. Solder that on. And then the final cable to be connected is this screen, which I'll actually do on the rear side. Okay, so those are the connections. Make sure everything is clear and we have no shorts. They don't need their sockets on, their covers on. There's no point because it's all going to be contained within the Pelican case. So there's no point in doing any of that. And I shall carry on with the others.
The number you have dialed is not in service at this time.